Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episodes 6 and 7 of Dragon Prince Season 4. Yeah. So we're gonna probably have these pre-thoughts be pretty quick here. Just get on and snap. Um, because doing two episodes here is it's a lot. um, but also it's just I don't want to waste too much time. So we are currently searching for Rexignius, which is both a good and a bad name for a dragon. It's like, okay, it sounds cool. It sounds like a cool name for an earth dragon and everything, but at the same time, it kind of sounds like a dog name for some reason. Um, it's like most people probably think when they hear Rex of like a T Rex or something, but it's like my first thought is dog. um, so they're looking for him, and Soren ends up getting trapped trying to help the small dragons inhabiting the Drakewood. He's trying to help them from some elves, and yeah, it's not as clear cut as it seems to be. He gets thrown into a pit, ends up having to face down one of the dragons. Unclear of where that's going to go right now, but Rayla kind of kind of left him because she's got a lot going on, and let's be honest, is not making the best decisions at the moment. Um, but they're gonna go back to get him, and they don't. They're not gonna leave him behind. He's a good boy. They want him to be with them. Uh, so yeah. Uh, and just the other stuff that has been built up this season is continuing. Just setting things up. I was looking at the opening though, and I'm kind of curious. The opening, for one, is very kind of boring. I don't think I really touched on that much since we started this season, but it's super short, and literally all it is, it's here's Viren. He suddenly moves and then turns to stone, and then Erebos picks the stone Viren up and turns him over in his hand and whatnot. It's like, yay! It's like, are we supposed to be impressed? That seems like a very low effort opening. Like, I mean, I've seen a lot of shows that have openings that are just like almost nothing. It just like shows the logo and everything, and with some music or whatnot. It's like, but if you're gonna have like an opening, at least put something into it. Um, but notably, right as he's about to fully turn into stone, you see a tear fall from Viren's eye, and it's clearly meant to. All of that is clearly meant to indicate, okay, Viren is a pawn in Erebos' plan and everything. That he's not the true big bad. It's like that. That was pretty obvious already. And the tear is clearly meant to symbolize that he's regretting his choices. Um, which I've already shared my thoughts on how they're handling it and how it feels like they're rushing through his I wouldn't even call it a redemption. I'd call it I just call it regret. They're rushing through it either way, and it feels unbelievable. Like even with his basically death experience, it's like he wouldn't change that drastically that quick. It's like, yeah, it would affect him, it would change him a little bit. It would maybe even make him question a lot of what he's done. But he wouldn't so directly, so strongly change in basically the snap of a finger just because of that. It would get him started down that path, maybe, but it would not like change him as much as it has in that short of a time. It just wouldn't. it's just that's just not how this works. It's not believable. It's not. It doesn't make him sympathetic. It doesn't make us care about him. If you're gonna try and redeem a character, or at least make it, or at least show it that they regret their decisions and are trying to be better, it's like if you're gonna do that, then you have to actually, put forth effort into doing that. You have to actually start to make them more likable. You have to make it clear that they're changing. You have to make it clear that it's not an easy process to change like that. It just seems like they're rushing through it, and they're making it too easy. At this point, I still hate him. Like, I still despise him. There's nothing about him that I like or that I sympathize with. I want him dead. That hasn't changed. In my eyes, he's still a racist, genocidal piece of shit with no redeeming value whatsoever. I, I I can't see him any other way. I know I said these pre-thoughts were going to be quick, but guess I was wrong because I kind of went into a rant here. Um, but that's still my biggest issue with this entire season so far. That they seem to be trying to redeem him, or at the very least, um, do something like this, like I said before. But uh, one thing as well is that the tear kind of falling at right before he turns to stone in the opening also might imply that he comes to a decision to fully change his ways and then dies. Like he even sacrifices himself or something. It kind of gives that implication that he's going to die, but that he's changing his ways beforehand. And if that is the case with everything that Claudia has been doing this season, that it might like push her into becoming a villain after that, and or maybe he might end up stopping her from going down that path, and she might end up being redeemed as well through this. I don't know. It just seems like things are being rushed and not properly handled here with this. We'll have to see where it goes. Including today's episodes, there's 4 more total, and we'll have to see how they handle things, how they progress things, and what they decide to do. But yeah, we'll see. So let's just get this started and hope for the best. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So we have 2 episodes left, and there's some precarious positions going on. Because Soren is now split from the group, and they've been searching for him while going on this journey to get to Rex Igneous, but it almost seems like they've forgotten about him. Like, they're just going through this journey to get to Rex, but it just, they haven't been mentioning him for a bit. Basically, once they got into, like, the Crystal Caverns and everything, they've just been kind of ignoring that, I guess you could say. and been focusing on just getting to Rex. They seem to have just pushed Soren to the back of their mind. Meanwhile, Soren had already escaped the pit with his new dragon buddy, Squeaky, and is looking for them when he ends up coming across Claudia. They have a chase through the woods, but he ends up capturing her. They're found by Viren and Terry and the little creature whose name I can't remember right now. And yeah, so Soren is now reunited with his father, who he didn't know was alive yet, and he's obviously terrified and freaked out by the fact that his father's alive because of how evil Viren is. Here's the thing. With Viren's entire redemption, or whatever you want to call it, I think it would have been better if Viren was continuing to be evil, but maybe through Terry, he started to lighten up and become better. Like Terry's just positivity and, let's be honest, goodness started to rub off on Viren, and he started to start realizing his racism is wrong, started to lighten up, and maybe even realize that Erebos might not be the best option, or even maybe through Soren that could help. But having him just kind of become a new person just because he died and was brought back is, again, it's too sudden. Again, I understand that dying and being brought back, it's yeah, that's going to affect you. But for as evil as he is, for as evil as he was, for as what's the word? I hate it when I can't think of words, For as not invested, but for as stuck in his ways as he was, he's not going to just completely change who he is with one thing like that. Even if it's something as big as dying and being brought back to life, it's he's not going to just instantly be a new person. And for the most part, he has been. And it just feels unrealistic and unbelievable. Yeah, he's still, shown to be struggling between right and wrong in some cases, but it's only in minor ways. And it's it feels like he's mostly changed. And again, that just doesn't feel believable. I feel like if they had it he meets Terry, and then throughout this journey, Terry's positivity starts to get him to change. And then through reuniting with Soren, he starts to realize the error of his ways even more. It's that would be a good way to do it. That, I think, would be a good way to handle him being redeemed, if you wanted to redeem him. Even though I don't think that should have even been considered in the first place. Because I've talked about before how I am not on the bandwagon of that every villain should be redeemed. It's unrealistic and honestly just annoying. It was one of the biggest issues that Steven Universe had, and one of the biggest reasons why it fell downhill really hard in the end. It ruined Steven Universe, having the idea that you can just reform anyone. That's not how anything works. There are some people who cannot be reformed. There are some people who cannot be gotten through to. They're too far gone, and Viren was very much too far gone, so redeeming him in general is a bad decision that just goes against his character. But doing it poorly like this also is not great. It doesn't work. And again, it hasn't actually affected my feelings on him. Like I said, I still actively want him dead. I still actively want him to die pretty gruesomely too. Like, I don't want him to have a peaceful death. I do. He doesn't deserve it in my eyes. Because of how poorly handled this redemption has been, it's like it hasn't done anything to change my mind on him. Because I don't believe it. I don't. I can't believe that he's changed. Because it doesn't feel believable. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like it's actually happened. And so there's no reason for me to want to show mercy to someone like him. It's not like with the Sunfire Elves and the Architect and everything. Like, her actions were bad, but were based out of ignorance. She's not a bad person. She just did something that was unquestionably wrong. That was unquestionably bad. But she herself is not bad. The difference here is Viren is evil. It's not just his actions that are evil. He is evil. And you don't just become good just because of a near-death experience. And I'm saying a near-death experience because even though technically he did die, he's alive right now. He got out of that. And even if it's temporary without Erebos' help, the fact is, he's still alive right now. He would not change that drastically just from that. Like, yeah, it would change him to a small degree. It would make him question things maybe, but again, it wouldn't turn him around that much. Not with as deep into evil as he was. That's not how it works. That's not realistic. And I know I'm arguing about realism in a series with like elves and magic and dragons and all, but in terms of like character arcs and how all of that works, like there should be some level of realism. Like, again, trying to redeem someone like that in that way, it doesn't work. It's not good writing. It's bad. It's actively dangerous, especially for kids and everyone to see that kind of stuff. Because they'll think like, oh, the worst people in the world, we can just talk to them and everything will be fine. It's like, no, that's not how this works. In real life, a real life example of this, it's like, no, it wouldn't change anything. If a real life, like, evil person like that were to have, like, a near-death experience or something, it wouldn't stop them. That's been proven many times in the past. There are plenty of absolutely evil people who have had near-death experiences and stuff and continued being evil afterwards. It didn't stop them. Because why would it? It might have like made them like question a few things and maybe change their outlook on a couple things, but that's about it. If this kind of thing worked, there would never have been as much evil as there has been in human history. It would have been very easily extinguished in a lot of cases well before things actually happened. And there's some cases in real life where near-death experiences or bad experiences like this have actually fueled people to turn to evil. Because it might have given them the wrong impression of certain things or certain people and it made them angry and aggressive and just vengeful. So it's just not believable. Just like White Diamond's redemption in Steven Universe was completely unbelievable. This is just not how you do a redemption. This is not how you do a redemption arc. It doesn't work. I don't know where they're taking that. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but it's the one aspect of this season so far that I'm actively not enjoying. Because it's bothering me too much. And my constant distraction, or me constantly being distracted by how it doesn't make sense and doesn't work, takes me out of it as well. It breaks the immersion. And there's so many good aspects to this season, and that's what makes it even worse, because so much of this has been great. Hell, I even though it's kind of annoying for them to still not talk to each other, the issues with Rayla and Callum work. It makes sense. It's a valid plot line to go through, even if it is a little annoying to see them continue to dance around that and not talk to each other about it. The stuff with the Sunfire Elves, I will not lie, is my favorite storyline in this season. It's the most interesting, the most investing. It's gay. It's like, yeah, that's a massive plus. And I'm actually really invested in seeing what happens with it. Especially now that we know that Janai's brother is planning on a coup, that he's planning on betraying her, and by extension, basically all of the Sunfire Elves, just because he believes that she's destroying their history and heritage by, one, marrying a human, and two, showing mercy to humans. And he has his partner on the council. So there's that as well. And they're probably going to be able to get some others to their side for sure. The thing is, I don't know if this is going to lead to a big civil war between their encampments or not, or if this is going to be snuffed out before it can start, but this needs to be taken care of. And obviously we need to see the side win that's in the right here, which is Janai and Amaya. Because at this point, I'm thinking he's probably willing to kill his sister to take over the throne, or put his partner on the throne, or whichever. Because I don't know, like, does it have to be a queen? Because there's the former queen, now there's Janai. It's like, I don't know, like, what their customs in that regard is. But either way, whoever would take the throne next, it's like he's willing to kill her. That's very clear. He doesn't necessarily want to, but he's willing to. I think more of his idea is just to have a coup, just to take over and forcefully remove her from power. But we'll see. But yeah, I'm definitely the most invested in that storyline. I was invested in what they were going to do with the architect and everything. And again, like I said in the reaction, I am fully behind what Janai declared her punishment to be. She's being punished with the burns that she already received with her hands. She's going to be instructed, and she's going to be forced to work. She's going to have to work to create a temple in which these ceremonies can be held without worrying about, burning down the encampment. Which is smart, for one thing, but it's also a genuinely good punishment. She's being put to work. She already faced repercussions with her burns. It's like, yeah, honestly, fair. It is completely fair. She's being punished. She's definitely guilty. No one argued that. Even Amaya, like who was defending her at first, came to realize and everything. It's like, oh no, she's guilty as hell. She is definitely in the wrong here. But again, as I said, the Sunfire Elf who was trying to enact the ceremony and everything could have handled it a little better. Admittedly, could have at least told her, but he tried. He did try to explain a little bit. She did not listen. That is completely correct. She was given the chance, and she was just aggro the entire time. So she was definitely more in the wrong, and I've said that before. So yeah, um, I agree with her punishment, though. I think it's befitting the crime, and especially because of her ignorance regarding the customs and all. So I'm really happy with how that is handled. But again, um, clearly, Janai's brother is not. He's planning this coup and everything. And it's like when I say I'm definitely more interested in that than the other storylines, it's like it's not that I'm not interested in like them getting to Rex Igneous and all. It's like I'm definitely still interested in that. I'm definitely interested to see what kind of dragon Rex Igneous is in terms of both design and personality. Um, and on top of that, I'm interested to see if he actually does help at all. And now I'm interested in what's going to happen with Soren. Honestly, the storyline with Claudia and Viren and all was my least favorite, and still is. But I'm interested to see what happens to Soren because I like Soren. Also, what's the Dragon Queen going to do when she does find out Zim, you know, escaped and ran off on his own and all? Is she going to come back? Is she going to come back to try and find him? The thing is, I think she knows Zim would do this, so I don't think any of our crew would actually be in that much trouble. It's not their fault. And I think she would know that. Because this is just the kind of dragon Zim is. So, yeah. We've also had these other elves to deal with, these Drake Riders and all. While we have one who's currently traveling with us to Rex Igneous and all, and he's just a kid and all, he understands that what they're doing with the dragons is wrong and not exactly healthy and all. But the adults who have been riding the dragons and trying to capture Zim and everything, it's like, yeah, they're a problem and they're just annoying. They're not the best. We know that. But I don't know if we're actually going to get any resolution with that. I just don't know. Uh, I'm very, very interested to see what happens next, though. Because again, we have 2 episodes left. And then again, I think the next season comes out this summer, I want to say. I think I heard. Um, and we're not going to wait as long to get to this next season as we did with this season. So we probably won't get to it right away, but we won't wait as long. Either way, I definitely am excited to see how this closes out because this season has been great. It's very much been great. It's in some ways better than previous seasons, in some ways not as good. But that's pretty normal, I feel. I do love the queer rep this season. It's actually really gone in like full force, really strongly. Um, which we've had queer rep in previous seasons, but it's like they haven't been the best. Like we had those 2 queens, but they were already dead. Like they were in flashbacks and everything. And it's like their daughter is still around, but it's like they again were dead. So a lot of people weren't too big of a fan of that being like the big queer rep we've had so far. But this season, we get Janai and Amaya engaged and preparing to get married and everything. Um, and even though there's some pushback against that from Janai's brother, it's like we still get that representation. It's still shown as positive, and it's very clearly showing the brother as being in the wrong. Um, and on top of that, we get Terry, a new character who is a trans man who wears a binder and talks about picking his name and everything. And he's an absolute sweetheart. He's traveling with the wrong crowd, but he's an absolute sweetheart. It's very clear that I like Terry. I just don't like Viren, and Claudia is very much on the edge for me. Claudia, it's like I really want her to see the lights, but it's just she feels like she's almost too far gone at this point. She's nowhere near as far gone as her father is, I feel, but yeah. But Terry's a sweetheart. He's a good boy. We like him. He's in the wrong crowd. He's too good for them. Um, and while him and Claudia definitely do have chemistry, I really just feel like this is that she's just not good for him as she is now. Like if we were talking Claudia like at the beginning of the series before she became, evil, um I would say yes. That would be a good fit. And hopefully Claudia can return to that. But not really any guarantee that she will. I just don't know where this is going. Because we only have 2 episodes left in the season. We have to have it be some big finale, right? And yeah, we're gonna obviously get Rex Igneous, but what's the big finale to this storyline with Viren's side and everything gonna happen? Like, is it gonna be like Viren realizes what he's been doing is wrong and changes his mind on resurrecting Erebos? And if he does, is Claudia going to turn against him in order to save him? Like how are things going to go here? How are things going to go? And what's going to happen with Soren in that regard? And then we obviously have to have the big coup with the Sunfire Elves. That's going to be the big conclusion to this. Um, and it's probably going to be pretty split, I feel. There's gonna be some followers for Janai's brother for sure, and there's going to be plenty on Janai and Amaya's side. I just hope that there's more on the side of good. I hope that this rebellion and this coup doesn't actually have too much of a leg to stand on. That it's actually snuffed out pretty quickly. And I hate to say it, I think the only way to stop her brother at this point would be to kill him. It's terrible, but I don't see him seeing the light. Ironically, because she showed him the light in this episode in episode 7, and he just it didn't have an effect on him. In fact, it actually pushed him further into his aggression. It's actually what convinced him that he needed to plan a coup in the first place. So her trying to help him see the light, her trying to help him understand right and wrong, basically, only made things worse. Which I don't blame Janai for. That's on him. Um, it's just it's just insane. It's just insane. And it's going to be an insane final 2 episodes for all of these storylines. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I was thinking that Erebos might be revived by the end of this season, but now I'm not sure. Now I'm not actually confident in that. Because I don't see how they could do all of this stuff and revive Erebos as well. Like, even if they revived him at the very, very end, and that led into the end up there to the beginning of next season where he's free and all, it's like, I don't know. I just don't entirely see it like them having the time to handle that properly. But I might be wrong. I might be wrong. We'll see, I guess. We'll see. But as of now, I'm thinking Erebos won't be actually unleashed until next season, based on the pacing we've seen of things so far. But who knows? In the meantime, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of these 2 episodes of The Dragon Prince Book 4, Season 4, however you want to word it, Mystery of Erebos. Let me know your thoughts, and for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.